I wanted to talk to you about off-season conditioning, specifically what you can do from the end of spring camp till now to keep these guys in shape, to improve their bodies and stamina and everything. How much do you have your hands on them after spring ball?
Yeah, a good amount. I mean, these guys get back early June, and we get after it the entire month of June, July. Obviously, we do OTAs in June, a lot of player-led stuff in the month of July. But Coach Kiritsy and his staff did a tremendous job this summer. Our kids are in phenomenal shape. They did everything we asked them to do, and you can see it. We look a little different, we're moving a little different. Really, really excited about the work that they put in to get us to this point, to the next phase.
So in terms, don't you get them in groups? I mean, I know they all have their summer thing, so is there blocks where you have like X amount of players in June, and then you have X amount in July, or how does that work?
No, you'll get the zero block. So once those guys get back from that, that's when the training really kicks in. And there's a few outliers that may have to go on a cruise or something because of a class schedule, or they missed it the previous summer. But for the most part, I'd say 95% of our guys are here throughout June and July.
And Kiritsy's got an organized plan where we're doing lifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you're out on the doing strength and conditioning type speed work or whatever, acceleration, that kind of stuff on other days? Yeah,
I mean, we're out on the grass every day doing some kind of running, speed training, and obviously lifting. So, phenomenal job, and our guys really did everything that we asked them to do this summer. I think we're in really, really good shape.
So do you find out when you get here today, starting today, but as this week progresses, it's hot out here, do you start to see if guys truly are in shape?
Yeah, I think you can see it the first day. Now we gave them a few days off before we came back, so it was 18-period practice day. We kind of eased them into it a little bit, want to be smart about the way that we train, and these guys know not to pace themselves. We'll handle the pace of practice. Their job is to put their foot on the gas and keep it there until we tell them not to. And so really pleased with the approach today. That was a good, solid day. I think some organizational things can get better as far as our transitions, knowing where to be. A lot of young guys out in the field, a little lost today, and so we've got to shake the rust off. Expect tomorrow to be a much better day.
So in terms of the plebes, are they behind when it comes to strength and conditioning? I mean, how much did you able to get your hands on them?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part here, right? These guys are coming out of plebe summer, so they're not in bad shape. You're in shape in plebe summer. It's just a different kind of conditioning. So we've got to make sure we ease those guys into it. And they're in decent shape, based on what I saw here today, but it's going to take them a while to get caught up to the rest of the group.
So last year was Kiritsy's first chance to do the conditioning. I mean, he's had a year now to get it. I would imagine this was a very important off-season summer conditioning for him, because he's had a year to try to develop a plan, see what's going on at Navy, what these guys need. Did you and Jim feel like this was an important summer in that regard? We did. I think it was a different approach going into this summer than it was the last summer. I thought we were a little behind. Last summer we had to play catch up in July, but we had a fantastic June, which lent itself to a really good July. So you learn as you go, with the schedules that these guys have and just the challenges of the logistics and all those things. But I couldn't be more impressed with the job that Jim's done and the rest of the strength and conditioning staff since January. From J to J, January to July, that they've absolutely crushed it. And I don't think we could be in a better place from that standpoint. Well, as a football coach, that's perhaps your most important hire. I mean, Paul Johnson came in here and he brought his guy, Mike Brass, that he trusted. Yeah. You've brought a guy that you trust, that you believe in. What do you think makes Jim Kiritsy the guy to do this very important job at Navy?
Oh, you're 100% right. I mean, our players in reality spend more time with them than they do us. And the thing about Kiritsy is phenomenal energy, very cerebral, very smart, understands how to adapt the training to what we have, and just I think he's outstanding. I don't know if there's a better strength conditioning coach in the country. Our players love him. They respond to him, and he's done a fantastic job of not only just training our guys, but understand what our culture is, right, and passing that along. And he does an outstanding job with everything in regards to the program.
So when you look across the board at guys, do they look different?
I do. Yeah, we're bigger, faster, and stronger than we were a year ago. There's no question. He's been here for a little over a year and a half now, and the impact that he's had has been tremendous. I couldn't be more excited about the progress we made and the progress we're going to make moving forward.
Well, we're here with Navy, well, I say strength and conditioning coach, but you probably have a title way better, athletic performance king, Jim Kiritsy. This is when the spotlight's on you to determine whether you all did your job since the end of spring camp to make sure these guys are ready for this.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So, our job is bigger, faster, stronger, more explosive. That's how it's always been. But a huge kick in the industry the past really forever, but more modern, is how can we have our guys ready for camp? How can we endure day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and minimize injuries as much as possible, knowing that football is a violent game. So that was our mission, to go out there this summer and expose them to the things that would have them ready to be able to play fast and not be worried about getting hurt. So day 1 goes through, we feel good about it, knock on wood. The guys are awesome. The kids here are just different, right? Like, kids work hard and lift weights and run all over the country, Division II, Division III, FCS, FBS, but the academy kids are just different. They're awesome to work with. They show up on time, they work hard, they're yes sir, no sir. The way you'd expect, it's better than that. And so coming to work every day with them, even if there's a million of them on our roster, they're a joy, and they had a great summer. We developed a lot from year 1 to year 2, and I'm proud of them.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I was just talking to Coach New about this. You came in last year fresh, you know, you had to learn about this place, learn about the program, learn about the players. I would have think that this was a much more, you had a whole year to plan what you wanted to do, to put the program in place that you felt worked at the Naval Academy. In that regard, did you feel like this off-season was more important?
Yeah, it was. It's hard to say more important, but what I'll say is that in year 2, we were chasing our tail less. So you go in year 1 with the plan that you've wanted to enact kind of wherever you've been, right? Whether it was at Kennesaw State or the Citadel or whatever. And then you just realize that there are different things that you have to tweak. And so you have your plan, halfway through your plan, you realize you got to say, now you take this, add this, take that, add this. So last summer, I was telling somebody earlier today, every day in July in summer 23, we were adding or pulling something off to try to keep the guys in a good spot.
Learning as you go.
Right, and the hardest thing is, like, in June, not a lot of the guys are in class. In July, they're sitting in Calc 2 for 8 hours, and then they come work out. Their energy levels are different. You have to modify it to push them as hard as they can without pushing them over the edge, right? Or know when you can afford to push them over the edge. So we took all the lessons that we learned from 2023, applied them to 2024, and we did not have any pivots. We didn't have to go through anything and say, hey, we can't handle this today. The only day that we had to manage a little differently was when it was like 108 degrees on the turf, and we just needed to be smart to make sure our kids stayed alive, right? So what I'll say the biggest difference between year 1 and year 2 is that we were able to anticipate the challenges that are outside of all of our hands, academics, military, and once we could understand those things, we could plan more accordingly and attack as we designed, as opposed to pivot midway. So it was an awesome, awesome experience, and the kids thrived because of it.
So in June and July, how did you divide it up? 2 days of lifting, 3 days out on the turf doing strengthening, I mean, you know, more conditioning work, or what kind of was the general plan without giving away state secrets?
Well, so we lifted 3 days a week all year, all summer. Right, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we lifted weights. And Tuesday, Thursday were entirely field days. The big thing that we wanted to do was incorporate extended sessions so it would feel more like a football practice. If you go out and run the guys really hard for an hour, that's great, you might be fit, but then you go out there for 2.5 hours, it's not the same. And so we had to build that over the course of time, and we got to that in June, as opposed to last year. We waited till July, and it was difficult. We didn't execute it as well as we wanted to. So we did that in June all the way through July, so that was huge. And then our sprint sessions were Monday and Friday, and our Wednesday was our big lift day, where all we worried about was lifting. But June, we had those big run days on Tuesday, Thursday, but we really prioritized lifting weights on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So even though we did some sprints, we made sure we cut those short and went and lifted weights. In July, now the next thing I got is camp. They better be fit. So we ran 5 days a week. A lot on Tuesday, Thursday, less on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but to give ourselves the exposure to multiple days in a row of hard training, which is going to mimic camp. You can't lift, run, and expect to go out there and practice 5 or 6 days in a row and not get hurt. So that was the mission. And we went out there, and the guys bought in. We explained it to them. There are a bunch of guys who need to understand the why. You explain the why, and they just buy in, and they can't get enough of it. So it was great. That was the plan.
So at some point during the summer, do you do testing? And I know you guys want to know. Constant
evaluation.
10-yard sprint.
Constant evaluation. Constant evaluation. So with the sports science that we've been able to get, you know, the catapult units that track speeds and distances and high-speed distances, we test our vertical jump twice a week, and we time our sprints, short or long sprints, at least once a week, if not twice a week. And so we're able to monitor our readiness levels based on where our numbers are going. We know that they're going to come in not in a great place. They're going to get better, they're going to get better, they're going to get better. And then they're going to get overtrained a little bit and it's going to dip. And that's when we know it's time to take a little bit of a break. You take that midsummer break, you come back, you measure it, and then you hope that you jump out the gym and you run and you set the turf on fire on the last couple days of summer training, and that's what happens. So we're constantly evaluating. This is not like, let's train until June 30th and then run 40s. We're testing our 10s, we're testing our jumps, we're measuring our miles per hour, our distances. Those are constantly being evaluated. Right. And that's what's great about the modern game of sports performance is the science is there, and we have the ability to track it. And so a huge thanks to Coach Newberry and Mr. Gladchuck for investing in that and allowing us to have that stuff so we can train with the brain. And then know when we can go as hard as we can possibly push them, and also know when it's not the right time to do that and pull back, let their legs get back so we can push them again.
So you have eyes on these guys every day for a whole summer.
Yep.
At the end, as we get closer to training camp, did you see major differences? You just look at a guy and say, wow, he looks different than he did at this time last year.
Yeah, so we'll just put it as a full team collective. And yeah, there's some seniors that are gone and new freshmen and all that stuff, but you know, our last jumps of last year, we were averaging as a football team 31.6 inches on a vertical jump. That includes the big guys jumping in the 20s and the springy guys jumping in the high 30s. Right. And we jumped 32.3 this year. So our entire roster is more dynamic than they were a year ago. Right. Our speeds, last year I think we had 34 people run 20 miles an hour. We had 46 run 20 miles an hour in speed training this year. So yes, there's new clientele. Right, the freshmen who are doing a summer for the first time, and some of the fast kids that graduated are gone, but the roster has improved. We're running faster, jumping higher, we're lifting weight. Our body weight as a team is up several hundred pounds collectively, so we feel really good about what we did. We ain't perfect. We got a lot of things that we can get better at, and we got a lot of kids who need to continue to buy in to learn and improve. But overall, you know, you got a lot of guys who want to win football games, who want to represent something that's really important to a lot of people, and they put that out there every day in the summer. It's awesome.
So I'm about to interview Justin Reed and Cody Howard, two of the guys who, you know, took the biggest jumps. Would you say they were, you know, at the top of the list of guys who are workout warriors?
They're workout warriors, and we know about Landon Robinson. We've talked about him. He's the freak list, right? But these guys got different stories. So Cody Howard had surgery, and he was a rebuild, and he got his 20-mile-an-hour wristband. He jumped 40 inches. He squatted a PR and squat. Like the kid is essentially rebuilt. Right. And he's at the best he's ever been going into camp. And Justin Reed got the experience of us prioritizing being big. We know that we've lost some big games in small spaces, and we're trying to fix that problem. And so Justin will be able to talk to you about pushing that heavy sled and trying to find a way to score from the 2 instead of getting stuffed at the 2, because we take that personally, we want to change it.
Talking strength and conditioning, off-season workouts, you know, basically that summer grind, June and July, it's not fun, it's hot. And they're pushing you, the strength staff, Coach K. How do you embrace it, or do you be like, oh man, I got to go see Coach K, gonna kick my ass?
I think there's no other way than to embrace it. You know, we come out here, our schedules are tough during the off season, and you know, we have these moments to go out here and work, and I think you just have to soak it all up, because this is the moments that like prepare you for the in-season game. So we just kind of go in like 100%, no doubt, and just try to get better every day.
Can you talk about what it's like? I mean, you know, he told me 3 days a week lifting, out on the grass doing, you know, agility, conditioning, and speed work. I mean, can you talk about what it's like each day? I mean, it's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a lot, definitely. But you know, each day has a purpose. You know, we're not coming out here and just like trying to check off boxes. You know, every workout that we do, there's a reason and plan behind it. So you trust the process, and you know, we just give it all you can, and then just stack days. That's just number one that we do. So
for a guy that's a senior, I mean, you've been doing this for 4 years. Do you go into this last summer saying, God, how can I get better? I've been doing this I've pushed myself for 3 years. Or do you know that you can improve your body makeup?
I feel like you can get better in any aspect of the game. You know, I don't think anyone's perfect. I know I'm not perfect, but I can definitely try to be my very best every day. So I look for new reasons, find new things that I'm missing, just watching film, and see like what can I improve on. And you know, that was the type of mindset I had throughout the years. And you know, right now it's just trying to be a dominant player and a very impactful player on the field, and then bringing the other guys along too. We have a lot of young guys, so we're gonna just stack days with them.
So as a DN, there's two things, you know, explosive coming off the ball, because you got to try to beat that tackle and get into the backfield, but also holding the point of attack, you know, taking your man in the backfield. Coach K mentioned about strength and power, because they know that last year they lost some games at the line of scrimmage by being pushed off the ball one way or the other. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest focus that we came in when we took in the offseason, was those moments where you got to be able to knuckle down, you know, be sturdy up there in front.
Right, 3rd and 1.
Yeah, those situations, you know, that wins in the weight room. And, you know, everything that we put in, all the work in, is like helps you build for that moment. And the type of work that we've been doing in the offseason helps us to be versatile, you know, so then we can also be able to move. You know, it's 3rd and long, you'll be able to get a good pass rush going and, you know, confuse the offensive line and the quarterback. So I think the biggest thing for this offseason that we had was just being able to move around, be explosive, and just be able to be sturdy too.
So they do all the metrics, all the measurements and science. I mean, there's anything in particular that Justin Reed can say, I got better in this, I'm added 15 pounds of muscle, or I'm bench pressing more or whatever, or I'm quicker, you know, in the 5-yard shuttle or whatever?
Yeah, I say for me, definitely, I think this has been the biggest growth I had in the weight room throughout the years, and then the speed as well. My explosion was my biggest highlight. I wanted to focus going into offseason, so I made sure to be able to work on that, and so onto the field I can just be explosive and be dynamic in the way I move. Being able to open up my hips, you know, mobility was very important to me. So things like that I just kept in the back of my mind with each workout that we did. You know, the strength staff has been tremendous in helping us be able to improve in those aspects onto the field.
All right, we're at Cody Howard talking strength and conditioning. Obviously, that's the most important thing during the June and July months. Got to get yourself ready for this camp so you can make it through. We were in an interesting situation coming off an injury or surgery. Can you talk about the work you had to put in to get to where you needed to be?
Well, you know, all the credit goes to our strength staff. You know, Coach K, Coach Miller. Coach Miller was in charge of all modifications for the workout, so I didn't start back immediately, but with Coach Miller's help, he got me right back in with Gen Pop within probably like 2 weeks, and then the rest of the summer was, you know, went off without a hitch.
How difficult was it to kind of jump in midstream? Because for everyone else, it was started in January with all season conditioning, but when were you able to really get back full bore?
I definitely had its struggles. You know, at first you're not doing everything that the guys are doing, but you know, your boys are there with you and they're helping you get through it and stuff like that. And when times get hard, you look to the left, you look to the right of you, and you know, your boys are doing it, so you don't really have a choice. But you know, they do a good job of, the strength staff does a good job of making sure that we're not getting pushed too hard, especially come back after an injury.
So when did you start working out kind of more at the same level as all the other players, like June or early?
Yeah, June. Right. Early June.
Right, so you weren't really clear to go full bore as far as all of the weightlifting and other conditioning drills until then?
Yes,
so
sir.
You had to cram it all into 2 months?
Yes, sir.
Do you feel good about what you accomplished in 2 months?
Yes, I kind of had my own training plan just because, like all the injured guys did. It was a little more relaxed at first and then a little more upbeat towards the end, but it was all made by our strength staff. They did a great job, and I feel great. And first practice fall camp, no problems.
Coach Kiritsy said you hit benchmarks in all sorts of categories. Is that, you know, can you talk about, do they have ways to measure whether you're improving physically and in terms of explosion? Do you feel like you're at all-time highs for you?
Yes, sir. I jumped higher, I squatted more, I weighed a little bit more, I ran a little faster. I mean, all our guys did this summer, so you know, I think we're in a good spot.
And how important was to increase your weight and strength, being is that you're making the transition fully from wide receiver to tight end?
It was big because last year I kind of had my hand in the dirt a little bit, but at times I felt, you know, I was like 215, 220. I felt a little bit, you know, undersized, a little outmatched, just with the physical aspect of it. But now this year, coming back at like 235, 237, around that range, I feel pretty good with where I'm at.